The Valley of Kashmir, known for its pristine beauty, remains occupied by the three nuclear powers of Asia, China, India and Pakistan. The controversial partition of the subcontinent made Kashmir a bone of contention between India and Pakistan, culminating into at least 5 bloody wars. The denial of the right to the identity of a culture, ethos and people has steadily turned the most humane of demands into an international issue. Emerging as a nuclear flashpoint, Kashmir not only threatens the regional stability but the entire world peace. The people strived peacefully to ensure the holding of plebiscite as guaranteed by UN resolutions, but exasperated by the repeated denial, a section of the society opted for the armed struggle in 1989 that enjoyed mass support. The state of India on its part used the arsenal of terror in the form of custodial executions, extreme torture, rapes, forced labor and enforced disappearances.
Disappearance was never a phenomenon in Kashmir. To the known history of Kashmir, it started in 1989 when the militancy started in Kashmir, and there was a heavy deployment of the Indian troops here to neutralize the militancy, and with the result that besides the other forms of human rights violations, and disappearances become, enforced disappearances become one of the very bigger phenomenon here. And since 1989 that after 13 years, it still continues.
Mehaz es mantab ٲٹھ بچہِ ٲٹھن بچن منٛز گٔے ژور آز بِچٲرۍ مطلب مۄکلٲے تِم وۄنۍ چھِ کورِ زٕ تِم بِچٲرۍ چھِ پننٮ۪ن گرن گٔمٕژ وۄنۍ چھُ اکھ بچہِ سُہ اوس کران قٲلیٖن کٲم تہٕ مگر تٔمِس پیوٚو کَنن زرٕ وۄنۍ چھُس بہٕ کانٛہہ کران مدد رۄپیہِ وُہ رۄپیہِ ہتہِ بس یہِ سہارا چھُ اَسہِ باقٕے چھُنہٕ کینٛہہ خانٛدارس پھٹو آرمی أچھ سُہ چھُ بٮ۪کار وٕنکٮ۪نس چھُ بس آسمان پٮ۪نس زٔمیٖن لوٚگمُت زٕ گٔے اپور تورٕ آے نہٕ پتہٕ رٔٹۍ تِم آرمی ٲسۍ پتہٕ گرے تِم ترٛٲیِکھ نہٕ یَلہٕ ٲسۍ آرمی رٮ۪تھ گوٚو 20 دۄہ گٔیے تہٕ بس نِیِکھ ترٛٲیِکھ مٲرِتھ تتھ وَنان 5 گام اکھ تتہِ اکھ ٲٹھٕ وَتہِ یہِ اکھ کوٚرُکھ غٲب بیٛاکھ چھُ أمِس بچس یوت ہُہ بچہِ چھُنہ ہُہ أمسٕے یوت چھُس اکھ تس گوٚو 1 ؤری 9 رٮ۪تھ چلان تٔمِس یَوٕ دوٚپُکھ سُہ گوٚو پٹنہٕ شہیٖد أسۍ گٔیی نہٕ پتہٕ وٕچھُن بس تسٕنٛدۍ ناوٕ سِوَے ییٚمِس بچس گٔیَس بہٕ مُلاقاتس اکھ مُلاقات دِتُکھ پتہٕ گٔیَس دُبارٕ بیٚکہِ ہفتہٕ بس تتہِ ؤتھۍ لاجنہِ دوٚپُکھ ہے چھی نہٕ سُہ ژوٚلُے آز گٔے 9 ؤری چھِ چلان نہ ہووُکھ کوٚرُکھ تِم ٲسۍ تتہِ کھٮ۪وان تِم مطلب کانٛہہ روزِ تِم ٲسۍ سُہ گڑوال ٲسۍ کیٛاہ وَنان کِنہٕ کیٛاہ یِم ٲسۍ سُہ اکھ جماعت ٲسۍ سُہ کھٮ۪وان تِمو کٔر کٲم تِمو دوٚپ سُہ ژوٚل پُلیٖسس نِش ترٛوو مےٚ رپورٹ پرٛٮ۪تھ کُنہِ جایہِ ترٛووُم مےٚ دوٚپمَکھ یہِ چھُنہٕ بچس ہاوان کینٛہہ مےٚ ؤنۍ بچہِ کتہِ تتہِ دوٚپُکھ اَسہِ نِش چھِیی آیہِ راتھ کِس 10 بجے راتھ کٔرٕکھ تلٲشی دٔجیٛاس بہٕ تہِ تِم کورِ زٕ دَجام سُہ بُڈٕ دوٚگُکھ بس تھٲیِکھ راتس گٔنٛڈِتھ دٔمِس سۭتۍ
Hajra, the devastated mother, seeks some strength from the people having undergone similar trauma.
Yes, draw duty. Duty draw vatan kheyan. Me ditin siniskit pons thainam siniskit. Dobnam ya thainji syum. Me tho syum tin. Tran bajan tan chas ba garuk karbar karan thik. Yos 3 baji van. 3 bajı te os ivan, 3:30 te os, 4 te os ivan. Mi şunu vanda ivan çay çanas kehti. Mi şes dapan yiyem orta açam çay. Yotan 4 baje, yotan 5 baje. Suban vötsuz gayas amsu sokul. Tati ne kuhui. Tati drayas gayas thanas pet. Thumra pot. Tati ayas gayas TV daftars. Tati ayas gayas at radio stations. Tati drayas gayas akhbar valen. Kuni mahas mion Nizar Ahmad. Mion Moinz Maharaj. Moz the lujum the slag nay. Sushum jigras amto. Bas pat cham na khabar pat tarf atan phiras votru rudum no guard kun kets hondum. Kunjai ma asem nera nosas machi po. Satan retan rud no me pat idea ma ki. Satan retan cham na khabar kusosum divan to kusosum kara. Ye jawai se ne ab tank mar ki chi military tulumut. Kya chayurudha mahinam ke hilalat. Dobom pyara chinanira malalatay. Yani potra kya kurthum.
It is a tragedy. It is a heinous crime. Even the UN General Assembly has declared in its historic declaration of November 18, 1992 that disappearances are a crime against humanity. It's a much serious crime than the custodial killings, extrajudicial executions. Because in extrajudicial executions, the body is handed over to the relatives. They bury the body and settle down to their normal routine. But in enforced disappearances, the search never ends.
Each sunrise symbolizes a long and torturous wait for the mothers of the missing, dying every moment and yet clinging to hope.
Bafirus prat kun jaye magar beshas unkas nam bachet pereshan mena shunu paya lagan kihin to adhoz ye sakti kar hakan marsangar aap te tro hakan ye saiti man sakti karna to mani az vitne 5 vari to bahashas girdi abas maz men ho chinim havan karan kihin unke shu kiyas taise ladan to ashin kan jawab vanan tem kihin te.
The women constantly relive the last moments shared with their dear ones and derive solace from looking at the pictures and talking about them.
High court chu insaf gar tat chu insaf milan tat kus insaf chu milan high court chu thukan lower court chu thukan high courtas podus banyo Dr. Farooq on human rights commission tat chi tim wana asna so chun taakti army base up anas chu koshur police anan asa sa dimo rapi lash tor ti gayas ba mes chun rapi lash torat kihin.
State High Court constituted inquiries in more than 60 cases. The district judges of the concerned district were assigned the job of holding an inquiry, and in all the cases the inquiry established disappearance and also identified the culprits involved in it, but till date not a single person has been brought to the book because Section 6 of Armed Forces Special Powers Act requires that prior sanction for prosecution must be obtained from the Indian Home or Defense Ministry, as the case may be.
Agar amsindis kesas sanction dimo asche sarni din yim chi wanan timan chi riang bod narsim ravas logna saza sarni saza chu lagan yim kyas din timan afsaran saza yim thoso phaili dabethan.
To use contemptuous language, I dare say that the hostile administration has been using court orders as toilet papers, and the recommendations given by the State Human Rights Commission have not been implemented. Not a single recommendation has been implemented till date.
Commission, in fact, is only a recommendatory body. It is not a punishable body. Human rights courts they can punish a person. We are asking the very person who is violating the human rights, or against whom the allegations are made that here is the SOG man or here is the policeman, he has violated human rights. And we ask him, have you done it? So we get reports from him. How the paradox is here? That I am asking the very person who is alleged to have committed the crime, ask me, have you committed the crime? Now I will go for investigation. I have no other agency. Then I go to this crime branch. There I have to wait in the queue because they have got their own engagement. They have got their own cases.
It is a toothless tiger and cannot initiate its inquiries on its own. It has to inquire about the security agencies only through the government offices.
Very good word has been coined, this toothless tiger. They can say toothless, but even those tooth now are grown up to it. Those militaries we have shedded, they are now grown up to it. In case we bite, they can feel the bite also.
Actions taken by human rights commissions are of ornamental nature. Ornamental nature in the sense that we utilize them internationally to project that our courts and our human rights commissions do have powers to deal with such situations, but the issue is, are these remedies available to every case of disappearance or every case of human rights violation? The data or the informations we have, they suggest altogether a different story.
Much needs to be done in order to make Human Rights Commission an effective, efficacious and speedy mechanism for the redressal of grievances. This is a part of our common minimum program. We want to, within the realm of law, we want to take all steps which are necessary to ensure that the recommendations of the Human Rights Commission are speedily, faithfully and fully implemented. This government or any government in Kashmir, however powerful it would be and how many members it has in the Legislative Assembly, that they can't take decisions relating to human rights violations which will embarrass the federal government. And that is what is the general perception here. Violations are likely to continue, and we have instances. I mean, after the new government took over, we have 10 cases of disappearances, which my friends used to say that it will minimize. I mean, 10 cases within a span of 2 months is a big number. And these are the reported cases, and how many cases are unreported, and we get the information later.
Since the last 13 years, the land described as a paradise on earth is virtually under siege, with 600,000 armed personnel, the highest number of army during peacetime anywhere in the world. Kashmir has turned into a huge concentration camp. Draconian laws like the Armed Forces Special Powers Act not only increase the vulnerability to the oppression, but more importantly, the impunity given to the so-called security forces gives them a license to catch and kill. More often, the line differentiating combatants and non-combatants gets trespassed, rendering the so-called security forces as the biggest threat to the security of the people they are supposed to secure.
It was hell of a job. A need was felt to document all the cases of disappearance, and I started the project in 1995, September, and published the first edition of the book titled Did They Vanish in Thin Air, to expose Indian claims of democracy and human rights.
Jalil Indrabi, whose highly decomposed body was recovered from River Jhelum, making it a case of surface disappearance, unmasks the agenda of ruthless persecution coupled with stifling of any voice of resistance. Ironically, the water bodies and the wetlands of Kashmir, once famous for their beauty, are increasingly becoming the abode of the dead.
Number of human rights activists have been eliminated. The patron of Association Appearances of Disappeared Persons, human rights activist, Parvez Ahmed, was shot at, and he survived miraculously.
Every enforced disappearance culminates into a trail of misery for the family. Rahti is a poor woman with 7 daughters. Though the going was never easy, but her son bravely shouldered the responsibility. But then one day he left, never to return. Devastated by the loss and hard-pressed for sustenance, the family struggles from one hard day to another.
न्यूकी जूनस मज 10 वरी चे गसान 7वें वरी हसा दितुक मे FIR यमो हस कोन तन गोरै मे मुसाफिर बाय हन मे छु वंके 3 कोर गरस मज 3 वाज नख आक्षम दिस मज
Though it is believed that the phenomena is more prevalent in lower economic groups with almost negligible power to bargain with the armed forces, but the fact remains that a majority of population remains vulnerable to the practice that cuts across economic stratas.
15 अक्टूबर हस कोरुख अस ब्रदर गिरफ्तार अत कोशिश मज तकरीबन तमाम फादर सालिम गरिक बाज कि इन गोस मुलाकात सपदन तो यम गस रिहा गन अत मज ज्यादा पेश इन सन फादर मास्टर गुलाम अहमद राथर सब तो यम मिडल स्कूल हारनस में हेड मास्टर यमो कर जबरदस्त कोशिश अत वरियस रोज तमाम ऑफिसन तमाम पुलिस स्टेशन या लोकल एजेंसी अमे मूजूब कि गई यल गन मगर अत दौरान आव जबरदस्त सताव खास तौर फादरस तो आखरस पे गई तम 29 अगस्त ऑफ 1996 तुलिक तम ये शाम वक्त ये कमरस मज नमाज पारान तो कर तम गिरफ्तार 20 ग्रेनेडियर आर्मी रेजिमेंट अस कोर कॉल पे तमे दो शाम कोर अप्रोच तिमन सत मगर तमो कोर इनकार यीस कालस तमाम हाई ऑफिशल्स इवन गवर्नरस तान तज मुख्तलिफ एजेंसी पेपरन मज आव ग्रेटर कश्मीर मज आव यम लोकल पेपर्स तम मज कोर जबरदस्त अपील कि गम लागन लोकेट गन मगर गई ना कह पे तकरीबन गसान 45 दह शायद 15 अक्टूबर आसान तो अस लगान पता कि तिहज लाश सह हसा सुंबल तथ गई तत वो कबर तो तत दोप हसा दफन मगर बजाज खुद अच्छो वुच अस तम कह तो वनकन मतलब काफी कोशिश पे हवक ना तिहज मायत कह अत दौरान इन दोहन तम लापता अत दौरान कॉल ते आर्मी सुबह से आर्मी तम जबरदस्त करान सताव तुम मो षियो FIR या तुम कित पे वन तुम तुलू जबरदस्त सताव कोर अत दौरान पे मे विक्टम बन 2-3 लट गो टार्चर इवन बास अक लट 2 दोहन बह अरेस्ट जबरदस्त सतावन तमो मान तो तुम गुम कम टाइम ये वो नए सर गर शोंगान नत ओतान तान हेकान गर शोंगित अस पे मुख्तलिफ जायन 4 गामन 5 गामन या मुख्तलिफ गारन मज शोंगन इवन माज वन यमन जबरदस्त मुश्किलातन सामना कर जबरदस्त सख्ती वुच अत दौरान यम जबरदस्त इजा वातनावान.
The misery does not end with the disappeared person, but engulfs the entire family. Members have to pay the price for the struggle against the oppressor.
अचानक मेस मोलिस दुख तूता मार सो मोर पे तमी मार सत तुलुक नफर तमिस मोलुक तम सा डठा डेगस मेस मोलिस तुलुक मोर मन वर रटित पत गई सारे जमात गई तौर सारे गांव गो तो लफ्ज बल दोपुक त्रो पत दितुक न दितुक जिंद न दितुक लाश सो दिन दिन पर बस पकना दरसगाह बस करान इमामत मालिस मिल कौन तेरे बेचारे रोज सुई देख सुई है सुई माज में गो बेचारे कौन तेरे मुसीबत बेन रटित सुतोरियन दहरियाल बेन ओसन टोटल कारत खंदर करमत बेन आय तमिस जाव अकन बच बेकन तम सन खंदर तम और खोज ये बट मारने ये खंदर ले जन तुलत पंचा ओस बटालियन आय तो बस न्यू शॉप so
anybody come in the darkness of the night and he picks up a person from his home, from the lap, child is picked up from the lap of his mother and disappeared. What is this? This is a totally inhuman act. It's a barbaric act.
Mein bachas na tumen don vare na ke tabachme zetin bachashme temri tirisi ye bas matabro golom de to beyin bach khoti es ये बाइज़ात इन पतायरित मगर ये वो बच्चों को इस बच्ची साथ टांग ये बस मैं बार वाला ऐसे उन फटाफट ऐसे पानी में पाती है तो बच्चों थोड़ा फिर फिक्री तो पाती में ये लास्ट पर्सन था कि स्टोरी में इस कन वो मसला लिहाजा करे तो वो वकनस मौजूद छना कि सुनी फौजन शिर में छु वकनस चला जुल्म ये छ बर्बरियत चला ये छ तूफान ये छ न बेगुनाह बेतकसीर दित मे पत यमन बचन वारियन हुंद हवाल मतलब कत्या गई तबाह वोनक मे मजी गो न अस ये कि वुचु तो वुचु दी पन्निस गामस में फिलहाल नजर अडन अस ओठ निच अडन अस चोर निच कुन कहां रोदुक न बेगुनाह बेतकसीर मरिक वतो पेट गए स्कूल नेबर मरिक लिहाजा कर यथ वुकनस मुसीबत चलान तुह न सुनियो अत कि अलबत्त तुह दियो मे साथ तुह छु अकिस शहीद सिन यम बच ये जन बेगुनाह तो बेतकसीर फौज तुलित कोर्टस कोर अप्लाई कोर्टस में लोड केस मगर असन कर कह हमदर्दी टोटल न ये जन पे मे ह्यूमन राइट्स अप्लाई कर तम अत केसस मुतलक पत कर तमो कम पत खोल तमो कोर्टस चार तमो खोल पुलिस चार अब तमो मे ओतर FIR लॉन्च कोर
Far from getting justice, the state refuses to even acknowledge the disappearances, reflected by the reluctance of the police to file FIRs. Even a decree to this effect was issued, stopping the police from registering FIRs against armed forces. Only after campaign by the human rights activists and local press was the order revoked.
1997 मजन तम दो ब्रेसवार 7 जून तो पत गए वत अडस मज तो अत वोनक आई नफर 2-3 वोलक बोन तो पत गो वारिया वक्त तो यह आव न कहें पत खत तौर दुमि तो चोट मे शेयर गाड़ थानस FIR पत गयस बह तमन वारिया कल 5-10 तुह तो तमो दोप अस रपोर्ट लिखमुत कह मे तरह फिक्री कि तम सात यह मतलब तम दह STF गोमुत जोर बह वन अगर यह निमुत मुजाहिदो निमुत तेल अडस फौज वोज कि मज कित अडस फौज मतलब सरसे अडस फौज आमुत छकरन तो यथ दुकानदारों पे भूख हड़ताल कोर्मुत पे यमो दोपमुत क्या करो हड़ताल ये न्यूक नफर यह मतलब यह गरकन पन्न सत जनान पन्न सत मतलब प्रथ कुन जाय गई असेंबली मेंबरस अहद कर तत असेंबली मेंबर पे गयस तमस तम दोप बह दिनमो तुम मुलाकात क्या थमत हुआ यीज कस वक्त गई 2-3 वरी खेन तम दिन मुलाकात कहें ब्या तत महमद रमजान चौधरी गयस तमिस नश तम दोप बन सा मिलिटेंट हमायत करान कहें अस दोप यह मिलिटेंट कह मे सत हस्पताल तो बन सा इथन कारन मज सनने कह ये गरस मज कोर खर्च अथ छानस सती कोर कह खर्च मे कोन कम तलक दूर तो मतलब यह मे जेवर शेवर तुन मे सोरे बे कुन गुक जायदाद तन यीस कालस गरज मकल सोरे मकल सोरे कह पत गई कम अम सस बोस गो हे अंदर किन कह गोस सह गुजरिया पे तथ दौरस मज क्या बोस हे सह गुजरिया सह तमिस वनस 4 बच अस गरस मज मर्दन हूं सहारा कहन अ जन ये गरस मज कह सहारे तो तमिस 4 बच बे मोज बड़ बस बे मे बच 3
The
that time that when the families used to come, they used to come to in the high courts, mostly the women whose sons, husbands, they were disappeared after the arrest by the security forces. Besides filing these petitions, they used to discuss things among us themselves. I talked to some of the women that if they are ready for the collective action, because the women and the relatives were individually fighting these cases, and putting them for a collective action and for collective efforts. The Association of Parents of Disappeared Persons was founded in 1994.
Thousands of people have been subjected to enforced disappearances, leaving their families in perpetual trauma. Not only combatants, but also non-combatants have become the victims. From 10-year-olds to incapacitated elderly, the whims of armed forces determine the prey. Thousands of homes have been affected and about 200,000 relatives have been putting in untiring efforts to ascertain the whereabouts of the missing.
At मुतलिक च वन करान 15-30 करान मीटिंग अत पे डॉक्यूमेंट बनावान बह गयस फिलपाइन तत तमो बनोमुत एशियन फेडरेशन टीम बनोवक तथ सत रूजस बह तिमन तो तत तमो यादगार बनोमुत मे दोपस अस तसा बनावो ये यादगार अस रोज तो कम से कम ना मालगुजारी ना कह जेल अस थक वन अस रोज इन बचन नाव जिंद अस बनावो कुन जाए मालगुजार अस थवो यह नाव लिखित अस तसो यून दो 3 अगस्त यून दो मनावान अस मनावो 3 अगस्त यून दो मनावान अस मनावो तती.
We believe that these people have no grace, and there should be some place, some moving to the families. So just in 2001 we had made a foundation stone here of the memorial at Eidgah, but it was demolished by the security force on the same night. They razed it to ground, and in fact they filed an FIR against us also that we have encroached on the state land, which it was not a state land. It was a land of the Muslim Endowment Trust. So then, but we have decided that we will raise the memorial, and the moral significance is also because we will not let any past to be forgotten, because we have to remember the past for stopping this thing in the future. And so in this behalf that in this year, hopefully, we are likely to raise a memorial in memory of the disappeared persons there.
Despite the loss and the immense trauma, the resilience of family members, particularly the women, is reflected in the pledge to fight injustice. Fighting against all odds, particularly in a traditional setup, these women not only strive hard to make the ends meet, but at the same time are trying to kindle the flame of hope by relentlessly knocking at the doors of incapacitated judicial system.
One of the hurdle was that the families were totally illiterate. They were not knowing about their rights. They were not prepared for the collective action. They had no concept of this civil society. And the greatest factor was the fear psychosis, fear from the state, from the law enforcement agencies, that if they will frame such organization or they are going for the collective action, they have to face the reprisals, and they did face reprisals. I mean, a lot of cases were that mostly in the remote areas, where the people who went to the courts for filing habeas corpus petitions, I mean, they were harassed, threatened. Even there were some cases where the members of the families were killed. There are some instances. Facing a lot of the problems, that we finally were able to establish a forum called the Association of Parents of Disappeared Persons, which is totally a non-political organization having no political positions, campaigning for stopping of disappearances in Kashmir Valley, because conflict continues there. Second, that they fighting against the impunity which is given to the armed forces to the security forces under the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. And third, that the perpetrators be taken to justice, and also the reparations be given to the family members. Because the disappearances here, which we claim, association claims 6,000. And this is a gigantic problem of more than 200,000 families.
You see, so far as the official stand is concerned, made public by the former Home Minister, I think it is possible that it is on the lower side. Now, whether it is 6,000 or 5,000, one can't say. But there can be a large number of cases which may not have been reported to the government.
Why should our young people disappear? What is the number? The government may say, well, 3,000 people. The human rights organizations may come up with yet another figure, 6,000 people. Maybe 3,000 or maybe 6,000, whatever be the number. But for God's sake, let me know, why should people disappear at all at the hands of the soldiers moving with guns? Why? The question why is strikingly significant. If you can produce an answer to the question, I hope we'll be able to put an end to the human rights violations in Jammu and Kashmir. But we have to be fairly honest and fairly probably bold as well while producing the answer. The answer lies in just one single sentence, which is that the people in Jammu and Kashmir are denied their inalienable right to self-determination.
The family members are not only harassed by denying information about the missing, but more so, the vulnerability of female members to exploitation increases tremendously.
Popnu patas gar problem zenas os na kahane acha brother so lakut zenas os na kahane didi os amut repair emis os result td so pata emis de kitab repair ites pat gare te asos meus matric paron patel na as kahane os gar sahar pat es na hok peret na kya acha brother so paran 12th systems pons bermet onmatas popam vazum kata mat patasam bermet magar el pat popnu temis pe pat parum traun patasam garchi problem temis pe वारे प्रेशर तमिस यम की वजह से तमिस शूरिंग गसान बेस हार्ट प्रॉब्लम तो सह हेकान बिचार यह कर तमिस पे वारे प्रॉब्लम्स घर टेंशन बेन मदर बोय पन पान बह क्या कर यह पॉप कर हे ब्रदर कर
तंग हर रंग आज कर फोन अस फलान जाय मिलने फिस्तान जाय मिलने इन क्या मकसद अत मज रात कोर फोन अस तुल कहें या रात कर फोन तुलन कहें तंग कर जरा कोर वाचम यह तो अम मूजूब तंग कर वह खोचान दपान ना फोन ना तुलानी शाम.
What about allegations I'm not sure whether 100% allegations are true, but it's 100% allegations can't be untrue also. There must be truth somewhere in between the two extreme positions. But people were, if you saw a beautiful girl, you arrested her husband or a brother, and you forced that lady to come to whether it was a camp or whether it was a station. And what transpired there is perhaps a matter of despicable speculation.
This budget cities to look me on budget. You to look at Scotty. Babaja ayam. Submission Southern Tran budget and me interrogation karan Congress manjan. Patu tulik darwaz karik band as karik pitoy so Khuda Taala roshte siyazat tam saat robul kariyaman as rochun yazat as karik band Kamran manjan. Sotan gasan je taiden chas dama tashu bachi zind. Oshna gasan bichun hawani. Kunti jayetan bototan watas kharna wari chas watan. Pozar zad magar hawan chum biti king sachim krehan mazik pon chanan am sun tour chas thawan bront kane tamasas khoda yes bana shurum bat yes bana se shara bat karam je sata mai kya agi balai wo kotan gas mon zanan kotan gas ka sara chum.
In most of the cases, children are worst hit.
उस लड़की कोरमुत जंगपुरिस अंदर तो लिहाजा तम सुन खानदार न्यूक पत कोर लापता पत सो लड़की में ये चलवे बचे यथ वरिस मज पतमिस द्राव अत मज कोर पत फैसल ज बचे रथ तमो तो ज बचर ये पान ये तो लिहाजा तम नश बेपता तो ये मे लड़की हज ना कोर हज कूर.
बस वे खबर पगह न्याय वस कारण क्या जेलन कत.
Though the elders have issued orders in the family, but did anybody bother to ask these children for their choice? The childhood of these 4 siblings disappeared the day their father went missing, yet the misery did not end there. They were divided into 2 families. Trauma of an orphan childhood, the pain of living in fractured families, and often the denial to inheritance are the crude aftermaths of the tragedy befalling them.
Another problem associated with disappearance cases is the problem of those who are their inheritors. Most of the times disappeared persons are young, their parents are alive. Now according to Muslim law, one becomes shareholder in his ancestral property only after death of his father or his parents. Now since parents are alive, he himself is not a shareholder in that property. His descendants are also denied the benefit of becoming inheritors of his property. But Islamic law does provide that the grandparents must make a will or in favor of some deprived near kith and kin.
Some children relinquished to orphanages are forced to accept themselves as orphans, though the search for the missing continues.
My name is Samir. Means Melissa Gula Amadar. Mesh is Ben Hajin Kain. No molas bazos tembala kursas draw. Patazan वापस कीन पतस कर मार्च खानदार पतस दुज़बे नैन माइसेट मैं बाश पतस त्रोज़ भी युवर मैं गई ज़वेरियत.
मेरा नाम जावेद है.
मेरे बाप का नाम मोहम्मद यूसुफ मीर है। मैं अनंतनाग में रहता हूँ। जब मैं छोटा था तो वो कहीं जा रहे थे, फिर मेरी माँ ने दूसरी शादी की, फिर मुझे इधर लाया गया तो अब मैं इधर पढ़ता हूँ आज।
So far as those children whose fathers were killed or mother was killed, those children on one side and those children whose fathers had disappeared, there is a lot of psychological difference. You see, so far as dead people were concerned, they were now satisfied with their lot. But so far as the children of the disappeared people were concerned, they were not sad, they were more anxious.
The problem is to be viewed from a social point of view, because the people who disappeared while in custody were Muslims and governed by Muslim personal law, which requires the relatives of a disappeared person to wait for a period of 7 years. And after 7 years, the relatives have to move court to get the disappeared person declared dead, which takes another 2 years. Meaning thereby that for a period of now 7 plus 2, 9 years, the property of a disappeared person cannot be disputed amongst his heirs. Similarly, the wife of a disappeared person, we call them half widows. A half widow cannot remarry for a period of again 7 plus 2, 9 years. So this is a social problem as well. Hundreds of homes have broken, and the irony is that the siblings of the disappeared persons in some cases have been turned out of their homes.
The phenomena of enforced disappearances has genocided into an ever-increasing number of half-widows.
Well, this is one of the cases of half widow. I mean, the problem which she is facing that her husband was arrested on 22nd of January 2000. She is a young woman and having 2 kids.
While the society has failed to offer a helping hand, it has subtly discouraged women from exercising the option of remarriage.
Lukan bonu çalan, palav çalan, ösakim şuur travan yedi. Ösim patluk vanan tahti da bana xabar maça gaçan galat kalın. Meçe su musibat yutnu kısmen yara insan bu çilit emsitna bosan. Biz bu vanan bu karan nikah. Kezmin bacın hindi mucibu mana şamas sot vayti ya drape dahvatan amin mucib tam mucib şaz bu yatsan beş şaz bu खोचा
तम कुछ गदे कर से खातिर क्या करन पानिस पांच हट टमाट करन ससे ऐसी पेट ऐस पालन करन हु कराई करन ऐस तो बस पर याद रोज वंची ऐसी पेट एम्स पान के सोचन इना का ऐसी पेट जिंदगी ऐसी पान के सोचन करन के
For those who have remarried, the going has been tough.
तकरीबन मैं गई तान 12 वरी तान वोत प्यारान ओयल न सो आवई त वं के करहा बन मन शुरन.
That such a lady will wait for 4 years, provided the man has been lost in a war.
उस गई नेबर तमाम चलन मस पत ही कछत वन और तोर त फिर त मयल न पत अथि आ कुन त पत के करहा पत कोर मे खानदार मान से खुश आ न कोसे मगर मे पन पाई पत मा चुका करा सोच ये चुकरा इंसान चुकरा पान चुकरा पत चुन वे कछन सोच करा का या रॉपी दा चुन का दिवान अथव चुन का करा कथव चुकरा सारी.
Why the people are not coming to the courts for getting justice. Perhaps the reason is that they know that in the earlier cases no action was taken by the police, or even the courts are helpless in these cases, because court can only act when a case comes to the court or it is reported to the court. But once the police is not investigating the matters and they are not filing the challenge against the accused, it is impossible for courts to act in that way. So we cannot only blame the courts. It is basically the administration and the police and the law enforcement agencies who are not acting in accordance to the law.
Unless the country which is containing the insurgency over here accepts the protocols to Geneva Conventions relating to application of humanitarian law to non-international conflicts and civil wars, the situation is unlikely to improve. International community as well as the NGOs within India and within Kashmir must persuade the government of India to ratify and sign the protocols, apply them in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, also negotiate with the insurgents so that they do also apply these protocols relating to non-international conflicts, and the civilians get a respite from this phenomena of continuing mysterious disappearances.
Systematic and institutional repression as we are facing in Kashmir, it can be only checked by the international pressure in this era of globalization.
We have been telling the government to hold the commission within the stipulated time, and if they will not do it, then we will go for a hunger strike. And this hunger strike could be joined by the different organizations working in different countries. We have almost 14 countries where we have the support groups. It includes the families of the disappeared persons in different countries. It includes human rights activists. It includes the other civil rights groups here.
The government cannot formulate its policy under threats. What, however, the government has promised to do in the common minimum program is that so far as the working of the police is concerned, it is going to appoint a commissionary committee to examine the working, suggest improvements wherever they are necessary, make police force a humane force, a disciplined force, which while fighting militancy with all its vigor and commitment also tries to ensure that there are no human right violations as humanly possible. In a situation where there is almost a sort of war going on, there are bound to be human right violations. The militants also commit, despicable human right violations.
Government should take it very seriously, because this thing, whatever is happening under a particular rule, under a particular set of governance. They are very responsible people for the social promotion, for the social prosperity, for the society as a whole. So since this is one of the responsibilities of the government to see and defend and fend and in a way secure a very strong future and a very prosperous present for their people whom they are ruling upon, they should take care.
When people disappear, the youth disappearing, this is something we should engage the mind attention of the entire human rights organization across the globe. I understand the human rights organizations can only kiss the victims on their cheeks, maybe, yes, but they can never bite the oppressors. I wish they could develop teeth to bite oppressors. In the name of democracy, you cannot kill people. You are a democrat and therefore you can kill people. India is a democracy, therefore they can deny the basic inalienable rights to the people in Jammu and Kashmir. No, not acceptable. That unless the dispute in Jammu and Kashmir is addressed, we can never ever even think of putting an end to the human rights violations with reference to the disappearances of the people in Jammu and Kashmir.
If you look into the future as such, you will find that this kind of situation, if it continues without any kind of remedial strategies, then you will find a kind of atmosphere developing in the society in which people will be less confident, and in near future you will find that people will lose their confidence, they will lose trust, they will not make friends very easily, they will not find meaning in relationships as such, they will not start following a leader. You see, the whole thing, a kind of environment of suspicion will be generated. A creation and generation and development of a civil society. Lot of awareness among people. Let them, they understand their legal rights, their social rights, their human rights, and let them get together and make a very strong force and see that they can protect themselves, you see, against evil. And let them be so insistent, so consistent. If someone disappears, let the civil society come in action.
Perhaps enforced disappearance is the most heinous of human rights violation, for it not only affects the person but perpetually propels the family between hope and despair, between life and death.
मे रबस अहद कोर्मुत योतान बह जिंद तोतान ांडक बह पन्न योत बाच न सारी गाँव शहर
पहले कमाता था जनाब, मेरी बदकिस्मती से वो गायब हो गया, वो लापता हो गया। इस वक्त अगर यहाँ बात करते उधर बात करते, मैं तो उस वक्त रोती हूँ, अगर मेरा बच्चा भी जिंदा होता, किसी जेल ही में होता, मैं जमीन को बेच के मैं ऐसी गदा करके उसका मुंह ही देखती।
छाड़ा मेरा नस छाड़ गामन गयस तुम चश्मन हुंद गाश तम सद खोत ये कमर क्या गो यह क्या कमर बंद अद बह पकान यह गो अमे चीजन मे पोद थोमुत तायात दमस तान वह बह वनकन कर कुठिस मज अकिस लबि सरान बेस लबि सरान खुदायस बाज मे कह बस तस कर जार बेकस कर बोया न बाबा न कूर बस आसमान पे पुत्रस लजम कुछ सात मार लग हीटरस पे पेमा कांगर पेमा दजित मरा रित पे मरमा।
Despite the burgeoning cases of enforced disappearances, the search continues.